What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for PlayPicks.com and TheLines.com, joined by the Grand Poobah himself, Brett Colson. We are going to run through these Saturday games. Of course, no Thursday night football anymore, so we decided to make not one, not two, but three different videos, one for each of the Saturday games. We know you guys are going to be watching them. We know you're going to be betting them, so we decided to go ahead and talk about them individually here. So be sure and subscribe to the channel so you know these videos whenever they come out. So be sure and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button as well, and go ahead and give us a thumbs up on this thing, and let us know in the comment section how you plan on playing this. Of course, if you're looking here on the screen, this is the Lines odd feed. All you got to do is come up here and just click odds, live odds, and NFL live odds, whatever you want to do, and it'll take you to this page right here so you can compare how these games stack up in Jersey, Pennsylvania, Indiana, West Virginia, across these different sports books that are offering here. So you can see this one's going to be about the Houston Texans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the first one that will be kicking off on Saturday. And Brett, we are looking at three across the board right now, but these threes are juiced, and I'm going to go ahead and take you over here to DraftKings so you can take a look. One of the handy dandy things they let you do is if you click that stats tab right there and then go to betting trends, you can follow how these lines have moved, and you can see massive movement in this one, Brett. We're talking about a full 4 points worth of movement here as the Texans open as 1 point dogs, and this thing goes all the way to them being 3 point favorites as we sit right now. This thing has touched 3.5, guys, as you can see across this timeline right here. This thing has touched 3.5, opened at 53 on the total, all the way down to 49.5, and now back up to 50. But Brett, this one was, I told you, and pretty much instantly, this was one of the first things that I jumped on whenever the lines opened up here. I thought the wrong team was favored, and it looks like a lot of people in the market kind of agreed with me.
Yeah, significant too, because this opened last week Houston -1, and then reopened Bucks -1 on Sunday night after they won. But also they lost Chris Godwin in that game. That left them now without both of their stud wideouts. So that is certainly part of the reason for this move. The question is, how many points are these wide receivers worth to the number?
Right. And that's what we're going to try and discuss for you guys here and try to break this thing down from, a betting perspective. Let's compare these offenses, Brett. We're talking about Houston offense, 5.9 yards per play. You've got a completion percentage for Deshaun Watson on the year at over 67%, and they're converting 46% of their third downs and scoring touchdowns in the red zone at 66% clip. So 2 out of every 3 times they get in the red zone, it feels like this offense, we should feel like that they're doing much better than they actually are. They run the ball, about league average. So they throw about 57% of the time, run it about 43% of the time. That's kind of what we see now in the NFL, much more shifting towards that pass heavy team here on the other side of the ball, where Tampa Bay throws the ball 62% of the time. Of course, they have no run game, and 2, they're just down a lot in these games. But this Houston offense, listen, I think we can't really overstate what it means to have Will Fuller back in this offense. Him and Deshaun Watson have been really great together whenever they are on the field, and getting him back, I think we saw even last week that this Houston offense can really move the ball when they have to, when they're at full strength.
And spread it around too. Kenny Stills, when Fuller's on the field, it seems like Kenny Stills, it becomes a bigger option. He's certainly getting more targets when Fuller has been back. So look, there's no shortage of passing options here for Deshaun Watson, and facing this Tampa Bay defense that has not been able to stop the pass all year. They should be able to move the ball certainly through the air in this one.
Yeah, this is, whenever we're talking about defenses here, Tampa Bay, the number 1 DVOA rush defense in all of the NFL. So guys, this is like no joke. This is like a legitimate, very good run defense, and it's kind of backed up even over on Pro Football Focus. They are the number 7 overall rated run defense. But the real big problem for this Bucs team has just been stopping the run. Definitely in the bottom half of the league when it comes to coverage grade, according to Pro Football Focus. And then when you take a look, the pass defense in the second half of the NFL as far as pass defense goes, as well, DVOA. So, Brett, I mean, I guess the question here becomes, and you guys, if you're looking on the screen, I've gone over to DraftKings. We're sitting at 3 right now, again, juiced, so we can see this thing hit 3.5 again as it has blasted through the 3 number on a couple of different occasions here. I guess what it comes down to is, do we feel like this Bucs team is going to be able to have any success on offense without Evans, without Godwin? Even Scotty Miller, who they got back, is gone now too. He is on IR. So this is going to have to funnel through Brashad Perryman and Justin Watson and O.J. Howard, who, let's not forget, just a few weeks ago was getting benched by Bruce Arians because of his poor play. Cameron Brate, the second string tight end. Can those guys, in your opinion, do enough to keep up with what I assume both of us consider this Texans offense to be able to do? Not necessarily whatever they want to, because they're not going to be able to run at will or anything, but definitely are going to be able to put up points through the air.
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, we're talking about 2 big playmakers here. And while Brashad Perriman did finally look like a pro wide receiver last week with those 3 touchdowns, the lack of weapons to truly exploit this lackadaisical Texans defense are few and far between now. You've also got to factor in some motivation here. I mean, it's week 16. The Bucs season is done. The Texans are playing for a division title. How much pride does Tampa have to win this game? Because with a number this short, they're really going to have to play to win for all 4 quarters. And you've got the most volatile quarterback in the league under center. This is kind of a tough one to cap when he doesn't have his usual crew of receivers to bail him out of some bad throws or mistakes that are going to come at some point during this game at least once.
Yeah,
so it's tricky. This one's tricky.
And it seems like this should be in a different scenario. If you have Evans and Godwin, I mean, this is just a completely different way you're looking at this. We're talking about a Houston defense, guys, that is not very good. I mean, they're 27th overall DVOA. They are 26th against the pass and 15th against the run DVOA. So you're talking about a team here that, without JJ Watt, that is another big thing, that this team is not getting any pressure on quarterbacks either. So Jameis should be able to have time. I mean, way down at 21st, according to pass rush, according to Pro Football Focus. So the way that this lines up is like, oh, Jameis Winston and a pass-happy offense against a team that actually has a bad secondary and a bad pass defense. Like, oh man, the stars should align here. Bucs at home, this is great. But I don't know, Brett. I just keep coming back to the fact, and that. Yeah, Brashad Perryman certainly came into the league with some fanfare and then was, all but a bust until like last week, like you said, where he looked like an NFL player again. But it's still a bunch of 3rd, 4th, and 5th string guys that are going to be going out there. And we know this Bucs team doesn't have any sort of run game to speak of whatsoever. So that's another aspect here, that we're going to have to get it done through the air with this Bucs team, with all of these 3rd, 4th, and 5th string wide receivers, because they can't get it done on the ground. They have no run game at all.
Yeah, and they have no pass catchers out of the backfield that have proven themselves either. Ronald Jones is exactly like a guy you're going to rely on catching balls, a few yards down the field. So it's I don't know how they're going to do it, but it is Jameis. I mean, there are games where Jameis just pulls these things out of his hat, and it's weirdly, now that it has hit 3.5 and it's kind of headed that way again, I don't know. This is kind of feels like a weird, like, Jameis, I don't care, I'm going to win this just because I want to game.
So let's talk about the total here. Currently sitting at 50, and as we showed at the top of the video, this thing has come down a few points here. Now that we're sitting at 50, I guess you have to play this, and you could play this game through just telling a story. And if your story plays out, you could, I think, correlate a bunch of different plays here and win a bunch of bets. And I think that one of the very easy ones would be is if you think this is an easy Texans cover, then you're probably on the under here as well, because, Bill O'Brien, while he has been better this year, you and I have certainly in past podcasts, whatever, kind of eviscerated him for some of the decisions that he's made from a coaching perspective. But he's been a little bit better this year, but that said, he still has that old school coaching mentality. And if the Texans are able to get up in this game even though you can't run successfully against the Bucs, I think Bill O'Brien will just take, I think he'll take the 2.5 yards and just pound it into the middle 2 times, try to maybe pass on third or whatever. I think he tries to take the air out of the ball and just kind of do like what we used to see in old school NFL, where it's just, let's protect this lead, run the clock out. And so for me, I feel like if you're leaning towards an easy Texans cover here, I think you also need to be leaning towards an under, because I can see the Texans getting up, then not taking any chances whatsoever, trying to just play ball control against this Bucs team. And again, questionable weapons on the Bucs side as it is anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the right correlation. I think you're right about the potential game script there. Carlos Hyde looks questionable for this one, but that's a next man up type situation. Carlos Hyde, he has over 1,000 yards rushing this season, but he's not the guy's not a world beater on the ground, so I'm not too concerned about that if I like the Texans. But yeah, I agree. This is an easy Texans cover is probably looking under.
I think the other thing to look at here, and this is just, as we try to figure out how this game might play out. So let's assume that that maybe Jameis does get something figured out with this kind of hodgepodge of receivers. Do we think that's actually going to come early in the game, or do you think that that's going to be something they need to feel out? I mean, we're looking at a Texans spread in the first half right now of 1.5. So Texans minus 1.5 first half. I feel like even if you like the Bucs, you're probably looking at this to come in some sort of crazy second half run here. Second half, they figure, it takes them a half to kind of get something going. They figure something out at halftime, and, then is when this kind of opens up. I don't know. I think I lean fairly heavily towards the Texans 1.5 in the first half here, because even if Jameis does have some success, I don't know if they're just going to come out of the gate firing on all cylinders with a bunch of guys that he's thrown a grand total of like 20 passes to collectively all season long.
And he always throws a pick on the first drive. So I mean, that you gotta bake that into the first half line as well. I mean, he just comes out gunning, and it's just like every single week, the first drive is just a Jameis pick. So I think you've got something there as well. This feels like if Tampa is going to cover, it does feel like a backdoor type situation. And once they do get things figured out with where they want to get the ball to. But yeah, I agree with that.
So full disclosure for me in this game, guys, this was one of the ones that, I watch whenever the lines come out each and every week. And when this thing came out as the Texans being 1-point dogs, I tried to fire as quickly as humanly possible, was trying to get down on it, ended up getting it at 1, 1.5, and 2. So I have 3 different Texans tickets at under a field goal in my pocket. So I'm coming from a position of already having that in my pocket. So I just want to be full transparency with everyone watching the video here. But Brett, as the number sits right now at 3, we can assume that it'll blast through here again and get to 3.5, but all we're seeing is 3 right now, so let's just cap this as if it's at 3. My personal opinion, even having the 1, 1.5, and 2 in my pocket, if I had to play it at the 3 right now, I still think I would be leaning towards the Texans in this spot. It's just a lot to overcome, losing not only 1, but 2 complete stud alpha receivers here to me. And yeah, I think Brashad Perryman is fine and all. And certainly we've all fallen in love with OJ Howard's talent, but haven't really, that really hasn't come to fruition in the NFL yet so far. And I just don't know if Justin Watson and Cam Brate being the other options here is going to be enough for this Bucs team. So if I had to play the 3 as it sits right now, I think I would still play the Texans side.
Yeah, that's fair. I think this is priced perfectly right now. I think it should be 3. I think if it does get to 3.5, that's an opportunity to maybe buy the Bucs just with the half point. But I don't have a heavy lean on either of these sides. With Jameis, it's so tough because the guy, you don't know he's the least predictive quarterback from week to week. So it really is difficult, and especially now without his 2 guys that. If you want, some kind of predictive metrics, you need those 2 guys in there. We don't know what to expect out of this offense this week.
And that's why, I usually go heavily on statistics. And if you guys are subscribers to the channel, like I'm typically breaking down, every single thing from an offensive perspective. But really for this one, you can throw it out the window, right? Because every single thing that I would spit out to you right now really has no relevance whatsoever to this game, because when you remove two guys such as Mike Evans and Chris Godwin from a team's offense, for me to tell you what they're averaging per game and what they're doing this and whatever, it's irrelevant, right?
Yeah, all you have is the second half last week, right? I think Godwin played a little bit in the third, and now we only got to see this offense for a little bit last week. So, yeah, it's really difficult to cap for that.
For me, guys, if we're wondering, like I said, I already have Texans bets in my pocket. I might actually add a little sprinkle of Texans first half here. I think that, as Brett mentioned, Jameis is going to turn the ball over in this game, and historically he has done that early in games as well. So not only does the Texans, at 1.5 feel right, but they could get a short field here very early in this game. So definitely like that. And Brett, on this total situation, if we're going to make a case for the over, we made a case for the under already. If we're going to make a case for the over, I guess it could just come to the fact that Jameis is going to throw the ball. This is the first time in history a guy's thrown for 450 yards in back-to-back games. Yeah. That's never happened in the NFL. Jameis just did it this past 2 weeks. So come hell or high water, we know he's going to throw the ball. Now, that might be going to the other team. They might not be on the same page with all these other guys, whatever, but that's not going to deter them from putting the ball in the air, and it's certainly not going to deter Jameis Winston from putting the ball in the air. So you could find a scenario where the Texans get a defensive score, a couple of short fields. Now they're on the board with a lot of points. The Bucs just go YOLO mode and maybe get some garbage points. I think if you're making the case for the over there, I think that's probably how you would have to get there. I don't know if this is one of those games that feels like to me that it's just going to go score for score, kind of shootout type scenario.
Yeah, it's the over is actually the play I like most in this game. I think this is a spot you can take advantage of some of the possible overreaction to the Evans and Godwin injury news and fire the over. Jameis, like you said, he's going to come out throwing. He has a propensity for the big splash play regardless of who he's throwing to. But like you said, also, he can just hand defenses points. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why the Bucs are 11-3 on the over this season. Like, has the market reacted to how good they've been with the over? Probably not this week, right? Because we don't know who he's going to be throwing to. So I see some opportunity to catch a low number between two teams who just are not good at defending the pass. And there will be a lot of passes in this game, likely.
Yep. And numbers are the same over here, as you can see on your screen here, guys, at FanDuel. So it's at 50-3 as well. So either place that you want to make the bet in this game. No player props listed yet here on DraftKings, or we would have gone through a couple of those. I think the easy one for me, Brett, would be, and again, we don't know what the lines are going to be, but I probably would have been looking at some sort of unders for any sort of Bucs running backs at all. Like, I think that would be one that I would be pretty interested in, so long as the number wasn't just egregiously low, which I don't know what they're going to open these things at. But when they do, guys, I think that might be something I would look at from a player prop perspective, because, this Bucs team, they can say, oh yeah, with these guys out, we're going to try to focus on using the running backs more and all that. But Brett, we have a long sample size with this team, and I don't think Bruce Arians just all of a sudden here in week 16 of the NFL is going to drastically change the way they run this offense.
And no, not against this Texans pass defense either. I think they're going to come out slinging. If you were to set a number right now on Jameis passing yards, what would it be?
I think they will probably list it. 330 probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say 320. 330 is probably. What can you say? He's thrown for 450 plus the last 2 weeks. They have to set it high regardless of who he's throwing the ball to, right? He's gonna throw the ball 50 times this week. Yeah.
I imagine they set it somewhere, like you said, and probably somewhere we're in the middle of where we're at, like somewhere in that 324, 325, 326, something in there. They have to. Like you said, the guy's going to throw the ball definitely 40 plus times and maybe 50 times in this game. So, and I got to be honest, if it were lower than that, if they set it at 305 or 310 or something because of just this situation, I would certainly be looking at the over, because just volume alone should be enough to get him there.
Yeah, agree.
So just take a look at those when those do come out, guys. That's kind of our thoughts on the player prop side of things as well. As always, head over to the lines. You can see right here, you can compare between all the different books and all the different sites. And of course, if you're going to play at any of these sites, be sure and click on these little banners right here and get the very best deals that you can possibly get in all of the sports books. We get very few opportunities to take advantage of these sports books, and these initial sign-up bonuses are definitely the place that you can do that. Free money, free bets, match bets, all kinds of stuff like that. So be sure and take advantage of those whenever you're doing that. Appreciate it. Again, let us know in the comments how you think you are going to go about playing this game. And if you guess the exact score, so let's say you want to say Texans 64 and Bucks 63. Just make sure that you list the team and the score. If you get it exactly right, we'll ship you guys an Amazon gift card as a thanks for watching and being subscribers of the channel.